Yeah, I had forgotten what her name was because it feels like it's been so long. As soon as the Archer Queen started being used for basically only defense, that's when it really started to go Muhammad Light's way because he was able to get the Archer Queen down on the map, immediately activate the ability. All of a sudden, no damage because of the King Tower activation. Actually, really, we didn't even speak on it, but probably one
Saluditos,
of the
familia, ¿cómo
biggest
están?
things
Buenos
that happened in this
días.
game was the King Tower activation
Buenos
because of the
días,
Magic
¿cómo
Archer
andan?
and its long distance shot. It activated and then it made it super easy for Muhammad Light to pop the Archer Queen ability and defend, taking no damage from those Goblin Barrels.
And you can see we have a pretty awesome matchup coming up soon here, everybody. And that's going to be Mohamed Light and Mugi. 5 world championships will be taking on each other in a BO3 to see who stays alive in our May monthly finals. That's going to be coming up in a couple of matches. Of course, a little preview of our upper bracket matches that will have to wait a while. Little lie-in, little morning to sleep in for those 4 players. But no sleeping now for Ta and Sub as they prepare to face off in their elimination matchup. And, you know, Josh, you've been in the situation before where, you know, you've prepared a whole lot and then you got to get ready for a day. And that day, you don't know if it's going to be just one best of 3 or if you're playing from morning until night.
Yep. You always have to go in with the mindset that you're playing from noon to night, though. You need to just have everything ready to go. You need to have that 6th and you know 7th deck available to you, where you know in that game 3 of the second set of the day, you are able to bring out the surprise that nobody else has brought out. So yeah, always got to be prepared for the day to never be over.
Sub coming off of a disappointing grand final, but still a 2nd place finish at Worlds last year. Was the upper bracket winner against Pedro and then got 3-0'd twice in a row against Mohamed Light. A story that many people can tell.
You know, it's interesting when it feels like every time Mortar gets played, it's by both players. And then other than that, we just won't see it down in the arena. Just another kind of mirror match right here, and let's get shooting. Bowler gets 2 shots on top of the Mortar.
Sub, a very talented Mortar player.
Ok, vamos a ver esto por acá. Queremos ver el tema del gameplay. Bueno, sí se va viendo bien. Ok.
Just a little bit. I believe there was an opportunity for him to get a little bit of pressure with the bar barrels, but just not the case in that exact moment.
And Dark Prince picks up the hero bowler, keeps the Evo Mortar in good shape. This is going to be a lot of pressure to deal with for Sub. A pretty healthy Dark Prince releases the ability. Rhino on the tower. Evo Mortar still pushing. Fireball into clear. Not going to get a lock, I believe, but still a ton of damage in. And that's really an interesting thing about any sort of Mortar Combine deck, Josh. But you add in this Dark Prince variant with the hero ability, and you don't need the Mortar to connect to get an advantage.
Yeah, and right here, that was a couple different things. I think the first thing right there, it should have been the bowler on the outside of the arena instead of on the inside. It allowed it for Todd to just distract way too easily. And yeah, I mean, as soon as he was able to get value with the Mortar shots locking onto the bowler and the Mortar, it was just way too easy.
Todd continues to put on relentless pressure. And does need to pull the bar barrel out. Gives up some damage to Sub on the left-hand side. Into sudden death overtime, 25-18 to 22-01.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is just based off the matchup. The difference between the Dark Prince and Minions and the Bowler and Rascals should be a lot easier, should be smoother to defend, I would assume, with the quicker cycle, and that's actually what we are seeing so far on Ta's end.
Dark Goblin wanders into the boulder, so no pressure there. Final minute, triple elixir on its way. And the lead is there for Ta, not a dramatic one. And that Skelly Barrel is going to change the story very quickly. Lead now swings to Sub.
Yeah, right there. I mean, Sub has done a brilliant job of getting himself back into this game. Skeleton Barrel will go to the mortar and force out a defensive mortar on Ta's end. We're going to see if he wants to activate the ability or not, and he does. I love how he's approaching this. He's getting so aggressive, and Ta just can't keep up.
Go mortar, right-hand side, Bowler to counter. Still layers in the left-hand lane that are forcing Elixir out from Ta. 13 seconds left. Evo Mortar for Ta cannot find any sort of way through. Wow. And that's going to be game one for Sub.
Yeah, I mean, once Sub started using the bowler correctly and just making sure that he was slowing everything down, he just dominated, really. I love that he made the early mistake, didn't let that distract him from his ultimate goal, which was getting to triple elixir. Then it's just pressure, pressure, pressure. He always got the fireball on top of that tower plus the Dark Goblin. I would have liked to see Tom maybe switch a few things around where he wasn't getting so much value with that. But, you know, that's the difference between playing a deck, 4,000 different matches and only playing it 80. So it makes sense that Sub was able to pull this one out.
So Sub gets game one on the Mortar versus Mortar, and going to take a look at the Mortar play for Ta overall. He's played, had some decent wins with the Dark Prince variation, but this time not able to get it. Win rate 85% with that deck overall. And when you think about it, Josh, what do you think the key was that, you talked about the cycle being a little bit better, a little easier to defend on one side of the board than the other? Do you think that the ease of defense was the thing that locked this game up for Sub?
Yeah, I really think, it's just the difference in how you defend these Evo Mortars. On one side, you can defend it with a bridge bowler, and your opponent knows that you're going to do bridge bowler, so they go in with bridge minions, but the bowler still takes it out in time. And then on the other side, you have to distract with Skellies, with Dark Prince, and then all of a sudden, the Evo Mortar still has 20% health. So it's just all those little things that quickly add up. It's a lot of little things, but they don't add up until triple, because that's when you get to bring it all together. And once triple elixir hit, that's when everything got brought together.
Sub still has the Hero Dark Prince available. He used it yesterday in his mortar configuration. A little change up this time around, going wall breakers behind King Tower for this one. So minor wall breakers for Sub and an early connection.
And there we go. This is what I expected from this weekend. Surprised that I haven't seen it a little bit more often, but Mega Knight in the back, and if in today's world, in today's Clash Royale, the first two cards cycled being your Evos is just always a great play. It's so funny how offense is the best defense, because that's exactly what you want to be doing. You want to be cycling your Evos and getting them ready as this game goes along.
And Ta just not liking that overall sequence. He will come out ahead on Elixir for it, but maybe felt like at some point he deserved to get a little bit of tower damage. The Empress just getting handled and controlled very nicely, but look at the Elixir advantage still for Ta, having only now get into his fifth card. Sub has gone through almost his entire cycle in our first minute and a half.
Yeah, it's going to be So Todd does not have Fireball available to him, which already makes me love the deck choice from Sub. Anytime you can use Magic Archer with no Fireball is phenomenal, and yeah, we're just gonna have to see what Todd's final cards are.
And that's a no ability Magic Archer King Tower activation. Gonna help Ty out a lot.
Yeah, brilliant play right there, and the wall breakers are going to get a bit of chip. I mean, that is just so much damage to be giving up, and the Lumberjack gets brought back, so that way it can't even get the Rage Spell on top of the tower. I mean, Sub putting on a clinic in these first 2 minutes of this game.
If you're looking on Sub side, what's your methodology for dealing with the Evo MK?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. It's going to be spam as many cards as you can, but at the end of the day, the wall breakers are going to be okay at defending. You know, the Royal Delivery is going to be a nice little halt, and honestly, even using the Magic Archer ability is going to be something that you can be, you know, trying to use as often as possible. So while you don't have any great answers, you don't have any, you know, terrible ones either. But right here, this is a lot on the map. Ta is just overwhelming in this exact moment.
And the Zap takes the bats off the board. Empress on the ground, Lumberjack on the right-hand side, Miner to control in the middle. But a big chunk taken out by Ta, as the story really has been Sub throughout the majority of this matchup. But Ta once again builds an elixir advantage, sets up with Evo MK in the back.
Yeah, and even though you can defend the Evo MK, and I'm saying all these things where like, yeah, you know, technically you can do this, you can do that. At the same time, even when you defend, you're still losing elixir. You know, all of these cards that he's playing are disappearing from the map. All the cards from Ta are staying on the field. So that's the difference between these decks. And right now, we got another defense that works. But again, Ta up 5 elixir, and then he just gets to start again, starting with the MK in the back.
Are you surprised that Sub isn't cycling his bomb towers earlier, or is there a reason behind that?
It's always going to be easier to cycle the Tesla, just because it's going to be able to protect itself from these Magic Archers. I'm not, and because you're going up against that Empress, where if you place it over the middle, it can easily start chipping away. I don't think I'm super surprised that he's not cycling it willy-nilly like we see with the Teslas.
Miner to the back. Sub playing a great game here, 30 seconds left, and really it's going to come down to maybe one final defense as Ta loads up the left-hand side.
Yeah, perfect job from Ta right there. Just ignore it. It doesn't matter. You're taking a tower or you're losing this game. 15 seconds left. Just placing everything at the map and just trying to figure out if anything sticks.
Full spam. Sub putting on a defensive clinic here. Ram Rider connects, not going to be enough. And Sub, a clean 2-0, beautiful game. And a masterclass for those of you out there who look at the MK and go, how do I deal with it, especially not having a super strong tank in response? Sub just showed you the way.
Yeah, I mean, Todd did everything he could. I loved how he was playing it. He was cycling it in the back. He was getting massive elixir advantages. It just didn't matter. Sub was so perfect, so pristine on defense. Every single interaction was a beautiful work. And then he would get the chip damage. He wouldn't allow his opponent to just completely overwhelm. He would force out, you know, even if he only was able to force out a defensive zap on top of the wall breakers, well, now his bats can go to town. It's just all those little things. Sub, absolute masterclass of an opening set for him. He's just already on fire.
And it seems like Sub really kind of made the Zap a bit irrelevant. There was one exchange where Zap took the bats off the board, and put Sub in some trouble. But after that, it felt like Zap was pretty much an afterthought.
Yeah, and I felt like he did a really good job of protecting his magic archers with the voids where he could. There were a few times where the magic archer got taken off the map or it got taken out with the help of the zap, but for the most part, he was able to protect it. And yeah, I could pick out any of these 8 cards from Sub's deck and go on a 5 minute walkthrough of why he played that card perfectly in that match. I'm just so impressed.
Well, another impressive performance for last year's World Finals runner-up. Sub 2-0 over Ta, thinning our field down to our top 9 as we have one more second round elimination matchup coming your way in just a couple of moments as Sub sends Ta to June for his next hopeful run, and he'll await the winner of our next matchup between Yuzi and Firkin, which I know there's going to be some rabid fans in the chat for that one, especially a pretty loud contingent for Firkin is what I'm expecting. And of course, our upper bracket still waiting to get started. We have one more match on the lower side before we get to those upper bracket matchups. Next up, though, Yuzi and Firkin. Josh, are there any louder fans in the Clash Royale ecosystem than the general Turkish contingent?
I don't think so. I think, there was like a 6 month run where everybody was for Muhammad Light, but now it's like, I don't even mind seeing Muhammad Light lose, even if you're one of his biggest fans. That's the thing. And with Firkin on the other side, he's got fans that will just ride with him. It's pretty impressive to see what the community, the community that he's built. And yeah, it's pretty beautiful to see how just to the lengths they'll go to support this man.
And Firkin does have a World Finals appearance back in 2021 in that first solo World Finals where we had 32 players in that first bloodbath round, where it was just a best of 3, winner go home, no losers bracket to thin the field. And he's made some appearances in CRL since then, but nothing to the level. And this, I feel like, is the first time we've seen him in a monthly final in years, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very solid player. And it feels like the pressure definitely isn't too bad for him either. So yeah, I don't know. It's just exciting to see him
A ver,
here, and then
vamos
on
a
the other side,
ver. Ok, calificamos
Yuzi
el
being
vídeo.
here
Híjole, ya no
is
podemos.
really fun for me specifically. I was taking a look at his Royale API, preparing for what these players are using, and I just loved the decks that he was running. It was all heavy, all beat down. That's my type of play style that I like watching. And right there, this deck from Furkan shows that
Baile.
he was looking at that too, going in with
Tenemos
Hyper Bait, trying to
312
outcycle.
puntos.
I love
Híjole,
this
no
deck
pude
choice
robar.
from Furkan in game number 1.
Josh, how do you know that someone goes to Yale?
Yeah, they tell you
There you go.
over and over.
This is the activation against the Magic Archer. Does Nyuzi.
I know I would tell people if I went to Yale.
Be every piece of clothing that you own, including
Yeah.
your shower sandals. Unfortunate wall breaker connection there. Nyuzi didn't really have a phenomenal option as the double push came in. And stayed aggressive as Firkin.
Good furnace in response. Able to be on the right tile. Oh, and right there, pretty massive mistake. Yes, it's only one fire spirit, but a lot of these furnace knight decks, I mean, it's clear that we're going to be seeing graveyard from Nyuzi. So any sort of chip damage is big chip damage for Nyuzi's deck.
This is interesting, talking about earlier how Royal Giant really is not popular in the meta right now. Even Firkin, who's known as a really talented Royal Giant player, I think has only run it a handful of times so far in this competition. And the ability, that's going to be a
Oof.
King Tower activation.
Yeah.
A little suspect. That seems like almost a panic version of that play.
Yeah, I mean, that's only going to be happening when you're not properly looking at the board, and it's difficult to do that during games. So I absolutely understand it, but it was very obvious that that was just going to be a King Tower activation, not something that he wanted. But we're gonna have to see how he responds to the adversity that he's given himself.
And had the lead, now suddenly losing some of the cushion he had maintained, 21-19 on the left-hand side. The big issue for Yuzu, though, is he doesn't really have a phenomenal way to take care of these bait cards. That Goblin Barrel continues to just put more and more little chip damage on that left-hand tower.
Yep. He's doing a great job of pressuring, and right here, I mean, it's okay. Good snowball timing, though. And that's going to get cleaned up pretty nicely. But Furkan just doing a great job so far.
When do you think we start seeing the graveyard get played here? You know, I'm wondering, there's at some point when there's a Valk out of cycle that maybe we see you do it, and that felt maybe opportune, but looks like maybe Newsy waiting for Triple Elixir to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I think that's just going to be how he wants to approach this. Inferno Tower on top. Good activated ability from the Uzi, and it's going to be a little bit more chip. It just feels like his entire game plan was survive until triple, and then I get to go in. And now that we're here, Furkan does not have the Dark Goblin in the back to be able to stop these graveyards. It is going to be difficult for him to stop without giving up a ton of damage. And right there, again, just more damage for Niuzi.
And the late use of the ability really changing things there, right? As he went and engaged the Valk high, able to pull it away from any sort of legitimate graveyard defense. And then as the Dark Prince got low, popped the ability, but still in trouble, now down to 690 to 625.
Yeah, and right here, he needs to do something. He does have the snowball in cycle. 20 seconds left, 690. Actually, no, 549 to 625. Furkan does have the lead.
Ability popped. Takes the furnace off, and that's going to be it. Furkan knows it. And Niuzi, just a great job of patience. Fell behind early, but phenomenal use of the Hero Dark Prince ability for some critical connections and doing what Graveyard does, late stage comeback to steal that one away from Furkan.
Yeah, it always felt like he was getting at least the proper amount of value with those popped abilities. And it was just so difficult with, I mean, he only had delivery, no log as well, I believe, on Furkan's side. And so no log, no Dark Goblin, that is going to be some sort of problem. And that's exactly what happened. The Graveyard was just too much in Triple Elixir.
It looked like Furkan maybe recognized that early on, was putting a lot of pressure on, and nearly was able to get the lead to a point where he could put his opponent on the back foot. Then as we get to the end, it did feel like Furkan, you know, we saw Niuzi sort of start to eat some damage, especially on the far side, knowing he needed to focus on winning that left-hand tower. Do you put that more into Furkan maybe playing a bit cautious there at the end, or to the pressure Niuzi put, forcing Furkan more on the defensive side of the board?
I put it more towards the pressure from Niuzi. I think both players played this matchup wonderfully. You know, at least on a macro level, because I think very early on Furkan realized, okay, you know, this is Graveyard, this is going to be very difficult, so I need to get the pressure now, I need to get the damage now. And then, I mean, yeah, I just think Niuzi was able to figure that out as well. And once you know your opponent doesn't have a log, doesn't have a Dark Goblin, you are feeling really good, because bait is supposed to be the difficult matchup. It's supposed to be the 0-100. If my opponent plays well, I can't win this. But right there, without those two answers, it becomes pretty easy for him.
So game number 1 in the books, and again, we are all elimination for these first few matches today. There are no second chances here. So as we look at the matchups that Furkan has been playing throughout this competition, we've only seen Royal Giant once from him so far on the weekend, a loss to Viper in the first round of our upper bracket. Viper running Graveyard and Furkan's Royal Giant getting stymied. Let's see if he turns to it here with everything on the line. And we have not had much in the way of slow staring match starts. This is our first one of the day.
Yep, and Furkan finally deciding to play, and right here, not sure if I saw any sort of hog in his battle log. I wouldn't be shocked if we were seeing the Mega Knight version, and that still could be the case even after this Tesla gets played. Right there, beautiful bar barrel prediction. That's, wow. Okay, so Phoenix does not wake back up. I feel like that should have been the rule of cool. If you get a prediction bar barrel like that, you get your Phoenix to start popping up again.
And so here we go, Furkan turning to Royal Giant in this elimination game, trying to buy himself a path to a game 3. So Magic Archer will obviously do some damage to these RGs. The Berserker will chip away pretty nicely. When you're looking at Furkan's side of the board as the RG player, what are your thoughts on breaking through against the Evo Tesla and this Berserker?
Yeah, so at this point, it's pretty simple for how Newsy's going to set everything up. He knows what his opponent is running now. He knows that if he has Evo Mega Knight, his opponent cannot place the RG on top of the map. And so it just allows for him to just set up time and time again. He can place these Teslas, then hog, and then he's just fine. There's no counter push to worry about. I don't know. It definitely spells trouble for Furkan right here, especially if that hog gets a shot and the activated ability. I mean, that is just picture perfect micro movement.
Lightning to clear the Phoenix all the way off, and Furkan sets up his Evo RG into his strong side lane. An early Evo Tesla for Newsy. And now maybe looking for a little dual lane pressure here. Split the defense. Let's see if Furkan activates the hero ability for the Dark Prince. And it gets evaporated.
Right here, Mega Knight will be able to clean up the left side, but the right side is still pretty strong. With the help of the Dark Prince, this could be a little bit of trouble, but Mega Knight gonna just plop itself down on the map, and that's, you know, at the end of the day, that's how you play Mega Knight. That is a great defense from Newsy right there.
Evo Goblin Cage gets popped. Hog does not get a shot. Magic Archer continues to get lineups, plus the ability lineup. Things looking worse and worse for Furkan. Cannot get into the second level. Finally connects with the ability from the hero Dark Prince.
I mean, I just love this deck choice from Newsy. He's playing all these super heavy decks and instead goes to Hawk. That's just not something we would have expected. Right here, RG at the bridge just doesn't feel like it should be the answer, and RG will get one shot, but it's just a little bit too easy for Newsy right now.
Need a lot more than one to get back in this one for Furkan. 908, his top right tower, over 1,000 HP. The difference, no matter which side he plays, and time is running short.
Good lightning right there. Forces out the awkward Tesla placement. We see those, there were some heat maps from yesterday, so, you know, I always wonder how some of those buildings get placed off to the side, and right there, Tesla in the weird Weird little spot.
See if we take a look at the Tesla heat map after this game is over and compare what we saw here. 591, 19 seconds left. Left-hand tower down to 1703. If Frickin's going to make a move, this is it. The only chance he knows there really isn't a chance.
And right there, getting the prediction barrel just for fun is Niuzi. Lightning coming down, and that's going to be towered down entirely. 2-0 sweep. Good game coming out from Niuzi, and I mean, that was just, again, I just, every year surprises me, and I don't know why, but every year these players get that much better at the game. They get less nervous. It doesn't matter what they're approaching. They've already practiced this matchup. And, you know, some of the newcomers, some of the guys that are trying to break into the pro scene and be these players, they're just so talented nowadays.
You talk about deck pool depth for Niuzi in this one. In his first game of the weekend, bridge spam with Ram Rider, Royal Giant, and a little bit of Ram Rider, so kind of a double bridge spam, known as a bridge spam player overall. Second round against Pedro, took the L's, but did throw some Hogs, some Royal Hogs, and some Golem out there. And then now in this one, some Graveyard back to Royal Hog one more time. So kind of flexing all different types of archetypes, although it is definitely clear that he is most comfortable all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, and those players are just so fun to watch. This Knight Graveyard deck is it? Do we think it's becoming a problem because of how strong it is? And, you know, if your opponent has this still available to them, is that the deck you have to focus on more so than any other? It just feels like every single time we see it get placed, it just feels stronger than the opponent's deck. Not necessarily, you know, it can still have bad matchups and everything, but it just feels like one of the strongest decks in the meta right now.
Well, we'll get a few more looks at it, I'm sure, today, including more looks at Niuzi, who moves on to our third round against Sub. We are down to our top 8, everybody. Mohamed Light and Mugi coming up next. After that, Niuzi Sub. And then we will finally move to our upper bracket, to players who've been sitting back and watching for the entire day. Asaf and Pedro, the World Finals, multiple time World Finals appearances of Pedro, top tier player. And Asaf, still looking to make his first attempt at a World Finals, the drill player, trying to stretch his legs a little bit and show us some different sides of his game. And then, of course, Viper Morton, the last piece of our upper bracket. But right now, Josh, you can see on screen, we get into the matchup that everybody here wants to see 1,000 times over. 3 World Championships against 2 World Championships. Mohamed Light against Mugi. There's really nothing better than this when it comes to Clash Royale League.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to talk to somebody about Clash Royale esports, these two are the guys that you bring up. These two, I mean, honestly, their games are games that you want to show to introduce somebody to the esport. Just picture perfect defense, picture perfect offense, coming in with something that nobody has ever seen before. I mean, these players can do it all and can do nothing wrong in my eyes when it comes to this game. If they made a mistake, no, I'm wrong. I made the mistake. That's the way I view things when I watch their games.
You know, I do want to call out here. We've spent so much time seeing Mohamed Light in the same setting. The golden chair, maybe some fancy curtains in the back. But now we see him in a kind of a blank room in a gamer chair. Is this Mohamed Light 3.0?
I don't know if the world's ready for it, so that's a scary thought to have.
Early Royal Hog split for Mohamed. We'll take a little bit of damage to both sides for Mugi.
You know, pretty interesting to split the Royal Hogs after the Fireball comes down. I think maybe it just makes sense because you know your opponent is running Mortar at that point, just because Skeleton Barrel is so infrequent otherwise. But yeah, just a little bit surprised to see him split the Royal Hogs like that.
Well, Fireball certainly going to be a factor as time goes on.
Saluditos, familia, ¿cómo
World
están?
Finals last year, as Muhammad Light kind of made his way through the upper bracket, sent Sandbox down to the lower bracket where he eliminated Mugi in the second round. An early exit for Japan's biggest star in Clash Royale.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't make any sense how some of these players are so consistent with their playmaking and just the fact that, I mean, even like a bad World Finals should usually mean you get knocked out in the first round. For both Muhammad Light and Mugi, a bad World Finals make him like top 4. So that's just the level these two are on.
And a little late with the pigs out of Muhammad Light. He's going to eat one shot from the mortar. It finally does turn.
Yeah, not the end of the world for Muhammad Light, but still never great. Right now, Monk getting a lot of value, getting the correct timing. Minions are going to take themselves out, and the bowler is also going to do that. Slight mistime though. Had it been a tenth of a second later, it would have been able to get that final shot on the bowler.
25 seconds left in regulation time. Muhammad with the lead in both lanes. 2056 left-hand side, 2204 right-hand side. He's done a little bit of work on that right-hand lane, courtesy of that mortar lock.
Activated ability once again, and right there messes up the timing once again. The first shot not getting swung back in the direction of Mugi's side, and that bar barrel sneakily takes out the entire mortar. Just a really solid bar barrel since Mugi wasn't able to protect it.
Sudden death overtime, and we've been stalemated for a couple of cycles now. And so far, it really does feel like we're in this kind of rinse-repeat situation, Josh, as Mugi plays these mortars high. Muhammad Light really not getting on the offensive very much after some of the earlier play. And now finally, we'll see him get on the offensive. Evo mortar high, bowler gonna work on those. Fireball hits everything. Waits until after the hero or after the monk ability goes down. It feels like Muhammad's finding a lot of trouble looking for damage here in the late stages of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, Muhammad Light does have that lead, so we're gonna see if he's going to be able to hang on to it. You know, I feel like we're able to recognize just from earlier matches today, but a lot of it comes down to, can you get the pressure with these skeleton barrels? And I think there's a chance that Mugi isn't playing enough of them onto the map. I think there's a shot that he should be just spamming those as often as he could.
Barbarrel fails to take out one of the two Evo archers. Pigs down, split. Mortar has to come high to cover, and it won't really even, it gets nothing off as it gets completely eaten alive by the pigs. Final 10 seconds. And fireballs go each direction. A tightly fought battle, a tense one in our opening game of this best of 3. Muhammad Light on top, up 1.
Yeah, I mean, Muhammad Light, he just took the lead early on, and then everything after that was played as if it was, a tie game. And so he was just consistently up by the 400 to 600 HP worth of damage. And yeah, I feel like there wasn't enough offensive pressure from Mugi. Like even at the end, yes, he's going to be placing the mortar on defense because he has no other opportunity. But still, you need that mortar to get shots up. You need to at least force something out. Instead, I believe it was an Evo mortar that did not get a shot. That just shouldn't happen if you're setting up your troops in the correct way.
And Josh, we've seen a lot of champions in the mix already this weekend. We've seen the Archer Queen, which we didn't really expect. We saw the Golden Knight early. Monk, kind of an obvious reasoning why we're seeing that one. But when we had the addition of evolutions mixed with the removal of 3-card cycle, it seemed like champions took a bit of a dip, but now we're starting to see them get played a bit more mixed in with the Evos and the heroes. Do you think it's the triple slot thing that's making that happen, or why do you think we're seeing sort of a revival of champions in this season?
Yeah, I actually saw this brilliant post on Reddit talking about like the win rates between using two different champions and one Evo and two Evos and one champion, and it was definitely really cool to watch because I'd always wondered what the differences would be. And at the time of that post, it was talking about how double evolution was a little bit stronger than double hero. Um, and now it feels like maybe that's not necessarily the case. Honestly, I feel like maybe 2 to 3%. The win rate would be 2 to 3% higher if people were actually just better at popping the correct ability. It feels like when I've got two champions up on the board, I'm popping the wrong one accidentally like half the time. So I wonder if players are just getting used to it. They know the correct champions to use in every single deck. It's just nice when you have some level of control. And these players are so smart, so brilliant that any sort of thing to give them just that extra layer of control that they didn't have is the reason why they love these kind of those kind of cards.
Yeah, then it does get a little complicated to evolutions, heroes, champions. Next we'll get who knows what they'll name the next one. Here we go, game number 2. And minor for Moogie, we'll see if Muhammad Light is running minor wall breakers or a different wall breakers variant. Bats make it feel like there's a minor in here.
Okay, and so this is the deck. Oh yeah, we really could see a mirror match right here. Good Magic Archer in response for Muhammad Light. That's going to be one shot from the Berserker and more press from Mo. Defensive royal delivery coming out from Moogie.
Well, you see the good read from Muhammad Light, realizing Fire Spirit out of cycle. I can force a -1 trade. With the bats, you have to play that delivery or you're in trouble. Of course, letting the recruit go all the way across the board. Same for the Berserker.
Yeah, kind of an interesting little interaction right there, but you would have actually just got like 1 or 2 extra chip shots from the miner if you used the bats to protect the miner for the first shot or two, and then the miner would pop up because you know your opponent has to deliver. Those are the type of levels that these players are thinking on the fly. And I gotta say, I'm happy with myself that I was able to think of that.
And the ability from Moogie maybe backfiring a bit as he takes some extra damage there. So the one big difference here, Tesla versus Bomb Tower. Do you have a preference between these two here, Josh?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if it was from yesterday's games or last week or last month. There was a very similar matchup to this one, and the Tesla was able to win really easily because if you're not able to protect your bomb tower even just once, it makes it so that the Magic Archers kind of go crazy on the map. And so, yeah, from what I can tell, this should be looking really good for Muhammad Light.
And of course, the Magic Archer or the Tesla will target bats when Bomb Tower is not. Another small wrinkle in that conversation as we are 15 seconds away. And close on the King Tower activation is Moogie, but not quite. Sudden death overtime ticking in. And slight lead right now for the 3-time.
And right there, Magic Archer able to stay alive. Bomb Tower going to get placed down just in time, but definitely a very sketchy moment right there for Moogie. He's going to activate King Tower every time, isn't he?
And that's a huge connection. Mohamed Light strengthening the lead as we get into the final 90. Mugi already down a game in dire straits.
I mean, even just every single interaction, like he's allowing these magic archers to die because he doesn't need to force the issue. He doesn't need to pop the ability incorrectly one time and doesn't have the elixir for this or that. It just doesn't matter. He's so calculated with every decision.
And we used to talk about that with heroes and now, or with champions and now with heroes, right? Where champions, we used to worry about, hey, like, is this ability worthwhile or is it a pop every single time situation? And now we're seeing to be even more extreme with some of these hero abilities. Especially now that Magic Archer is 2 elixir rather than 1.
And right here, wow. A lot going on. I love what Mugi's doing, trying to force the issue in just some possible way.
Miner to the back, wall breakers high. They are getting tanked for. Delivery has to come out. Magic Archer gets on the recruit, not on the berserker. Good pickup against the miner for Mohamed Light. 456 to 1586. Double wall protection on the left hand side does not matter. Mohamed happy to take it. And he'll go ahead and take the win. Mohamed Light continues his lower bracket dominance, taking out his biggest rival in Clash Royale.
Yeah, I mean, phenomenal set from Mohamed Light. Exactly what we come to expect from him. It really is the difference between the Bomb Tower and the Tesla. I felt like Mugi did a great job, especially in that final minute. The fact that he was able to give himself a chance. He had 3 Magic Archers on the board. He was able to pick a couple of them using the bounce back ability. He's too talented and has played the matchup too many times. But I love what he was doing with how he approached that. Even if he did lose the game, you know, you can still be happy with the process.
Mohamed Light, clean 2-0, will move himself now into our next phase of competition. And of course, everyone afraid of a Mohamed Light lower bracket run. First person to make it into our top 6, as we still have 4 remaining in our upper bracket and 2 more in our next lower bracket matchup. And Mohamed Light will be awaiting the loser of Djokovic versus Pedro. So one of those two will have to go from a loss into a pretty brutal matchup. Let's take a look at the heat map for Tesla, over 10,000 placements during our group and Swiss bracket stages. And Josh, of course, we're seeing some pretty heavy heat right there in the middle. But you see some other interesting placements, right? You're seeing them on both sides. Talk to me about some of the more odd placements you see on this heat map.
Yeah, I mean, if we take a look at, you know, some of the spots that are right next to the bridge, we see it all the way on the left side, top left corner, and all the way in the top right corner. We just saw it in that previous game. Sometimes you have to take them opposing Magic Archers out of the, off of the board, and the only way to do that is by sniping it. So you can't let it walk through. You have to get it right in that exact moment. That's the reason why we're going to be seeing that. Another thing, we're seeing it to the left and the right of these crown towers. And one possible explanation, either they had 4.02 elixir and they were trying to stop a hog that was getting to the tower, or once it gets to be the Evo Tesla, it's always going to be a good placement to take care of those graveyards, especially because of how great graveyard is so strong right now. Those are going to be some possible explanations for why we're seeing it not just directly in the middle like we're used to.
And you kind of get a spread of, you know, I'd love to get a color coded for this one day where we go versus what matchups, right? Where is this being played?
Yes.
You know, where is this going against hog decks? You know, you talked about some of the obvious graveyard placements, some of the high ones to snipe something across the bridge. Where might we see a difference in various of placements against balloons or against skeleton barrels, things like that? So the full breadth and depth, and you do see some pretty significant consistency. And we're talking about these players at that level. We don't see a lot of weird outliers there either, right? It's a pretty uniform map on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And no fun placements. I forgot what card I was looking at. I think it was from yesterday's broadcast or something, but it was like a building on the opposite, like on offense, and I just thought that was hilarious in that moment. And I would definitely, every time I had a win lined up, I would try and spam as many like weird cards that should not go where they're supposed to be going.
And we're gonna go ahead and see. And I'm realizing now that Djokovic is a soft, as I'm seeing on the. Now that I'm kind of, I don't give it to me this long to put it together. That we have a soft on the broadcast bracket and Djokovic in the Stats Royale bracket for following along with things. So took a little while, but now we go on to our next elimination matchup. After this, we're gonna go ahead and start seeing some of our upper bracket matchups right now, though. Niuzi and Sub both coming off of world-class level gameplay in their previous rounds. Head to head here.
Yep, we have Zappies and Fishermen cycled it in the back. Giant Skeleton. I'm certainly not a hater when it comes to the Giant Skeleton now, but it's just meant to be a big body. It feels so weird as such a small little guy on the map.
A couple times we've seen Inferno Tower today. Not in necessarily the matchups that we're calling for it. But now you're against Giant Skeleton, against Bowler. Likely a Royal Giant in here, so one of those ones where an Inferno Tower might find some more targets.
Okay, so right there, King Tower does get activated because of the Magic Archer ability. I'm wondering. I mean, I can't tell if it's going to be RG or if it's going to be like Graveyard Freeze or something. I feel like I'm crazy to think Graveyard Freeze, so. But I don't know.
Crazier things have happened here, Josh. It's, Fisherman is always one of those ones where you're kind of sitting there thinking, where else does the fish boy go? But like I said, crazier things have happened for sure. And it's Piggies.
Yeah.
So what's your thought? What's your thought on the Fisherman in this Piggies deck?
I'm not exactly sure. I do like the arrows though. I think that's good. I don't know. It just feels like Fisherman. It's just not strong enough right now. It can work in certain matchups. I just don't think it's strong enough.
And Yuzi has run Royal Hogs with Giant Skeleton in this tournament. Very different look in that version. Ran it with the Evo Bowler, as we see here one time. And has run this Fisherman variant one time. Does have a win with this deck.
Okay, with all 8 cards matching?
I'm not talking about the full matchup, but this exact deck, yes, he does have a win.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, you know
and
what?
Right there.
Scratch that. The one difference is, actually a couple of differences. Guards and Mother Witch in that variation, as opposed to the Archers and the Electro Spirit. So no, not all the same cards. Playing some variants here.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see Archers kind of get brought back into the meta. It feels like, I don't know, it just feels like it's popping up every once in a while now. And wow, this Fisherman and Bowler synergy is just awful. It kept shooting, and then the Fisherman would yank the opposing troop away from it. I don't know. I think it's not the greatest synergy between those two.
Bowler takes that shot from way downtown, gets the Magic Archer off the board. 15:05. Even with some of the funkiness of this deck, Josh, we are seeing the lead hold for Niuzi thus far.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he can protect these Giant Skeletons, he was finally able to get it to the Crown Tower, so that was a dangerous pop right there. And I mean, he's defending super well. Yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, you know, 8 strong cards on a deck, even if it doesn't have the best synergy together, it's still going to be a very strong deck, and I think that's kind of the idea behind this deck.
Fisherman just kind of grabbing every sort of thing out there. Pigs in to the left-hand side. Fishboy goes to the Inferno Tower. Now 3 pigs, 2 pigs remaining on that left-hand side. Bowler working on the right-hand side, held up by delivery. Final 10 seconds. Goblin Barrel in, not going to do much. Wallbreakers get stymied as well. Sub needs to cycle and get something, can't do it, knows he can't do it. And Niuzi getting funky, getting awkward, getting the win in game number 1.
Wow, I mean, just great defense right there. You have to wonder, had he put the Goblin Barrel maybe on a different tile placement, if that could have been the answer. Just a lot on the map right there, and Niuzi said no way to all of it. I mean, just stack as many troops as you can. You know your opponent doesn't have the right spells to take it out. And yeah, I mean, once Triple Elixir happened, and he was able to stack all these bowlers, he was able to go 2 activated bowler abilities in a row, which was really nice in trying to take out the Inferno Towers. It was just a lot of clever plays that that we really don't get to see all that often.
And the Inferno Towers, you know, you see a few targets here that you go, great, with the Giant Skeleton, with the bowler, but obviously with the bowler ability, it really changes the math on that relationship between the Inferno Tower and the bowler. Giant Skeleton, really just a pressure card in this situation and forcing a lot of attention. And it was those bowler and the Royal Hogs combinations getting it done here for Niuzi in game number 1. He's really been, you know, other than a little stumble that he had against Pedro, which anybody can have that one happen, he's been pitching showing a pretty phenomenal tournament so far this weekend.
Yeah, it's super exciting to see. And definitely being able to go up 1-0 over Sub, somebody who does not finish lower than top 4 every single monthly finals, it feels like he plays in. Yeah, I mean, he has to be feeling incredible. It's not always about just this month. It's not always about, you know, technically even the World Finals as a destination. Sometimes it's about the process. Sometimes it's about making sure that you know you can compete and that you deserve to be here. And it's always such a joy to see a player that it at least feels pretty fresh to see their face when they realize that they can hang and when they realize that they're just as good. It's a joy to see happen in real time.
Had a really interesting group for this one, and his wins in the group stage. Capgun, one of those wins. Asaf, one of those wins. Took an L to Remy Eli, beat Clown in his group to make it here to this portion of our competition, and finds himself now 1 win away from getting into the top 6.
Man, you're saying some of these names in just his group, and we've got like, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 players in the pro scene where you can make an argument for them to win a monthly finals every single month. And I don't know, it's just dangerous to see all the talent right now.
Hold on, I thought he was in Moogie's group, so now I'm going to go ahead and just double check that. That was Subs wins. Excuse me. That was Subs wins. I was like, I'm pretty sure he was in Moogie's group with Adriel as I went back and looked. And now I'll go ahead and bring up his group stage there. Yeah, wins against Sandbox. That's what I was saying. Hey, I thought that this was having multiple tabs open is frustrating. Wins against Adriel, wins against Sandbox, a loss against Moogie, but able to do enough to get second place in the group in a very, very tight one, as he finished second behind Moogie in this one, and then with Sinistro, Adriel, and Sandbox in 3, 4, and 5. So definitely not an easy route to this point, and finds himself 1 win away from a top 6.
Yeah, up 1-0. You can still technically lose this next game and still be fine. What you know, what are your thoughts on soundproof in the room for Sub? I I don't know if he reaches a volume where that's necessary.
Oh, like well, you know, we don't know what those walls are made of, and when you're trying to work, you know, if you're streaming and doing video content, it's not soundproofing. Those egg crates are designed to limit your voice bouncing off the walls, so they deaden the room so you don't have echo.
Okay.
So if you're doing streaming and content creating, a little bit of egg crate action on the walls goes a long way for sound quality. Now, still, you know, I don't know how much it matters for, you know, Clash Royale ASMR, but
we don't have that yet, do we?
There has to be someone doing it.
Yeah.
Royale. That's your next phase of your Clash Royale content career, is switching to ASMR.
Please. We need somebody. So, Niuzi running Rage Hog Firecracker. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's such a joy to see these kind of decks pop up. Just something completely fresh, and you know, it's just clear that these guys won't have practiced against something like this, and I just love what he's doing. I think this is how you approach a monthly finals.
Has won a couple of games with Hog Rage. Different constructions, though. Neither one of the ones that he won earlier. With Hog Rage, ran Firecracker. MK a part of those constructions. Oh.
If this Firecracker can get that final shot, it will. Just one or two little pokes from the Firecracker's gun, able to do enough and bring it down to the health where it starts running. And that's a great situation right there. Evo Mega Knight on the board should get a decent bit of value, and he's shaking his head. The fact the Goblin Demolisher went the wrong way was just massive for Niuzi.
Big connection with the Evo MK. As we go into sudden death overtime, Niuzi just putting an immense amount of pressure on as he cycles his Mega Knight once more in the back. Josh, you know, you talk about the Firecracker being in here. It's the Evo Cage, Evo Mega Knight. How do you feel about just a classic Firecracker?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Wow. And that Mega Knight getting that swing was massive for him. It's a very nice rage. It's not going to get any damage, but it will at least pop up the Demolisher right there. I don't know. It's just such a fun deck. This doesn't look real. It's like almost hard to even conceptualize this.
Hero Dark Prince is going to opposite lanes. Evo Mega Knight sets up in the middle. Evo Archers for sub, trying to work on the DPS here. Going into the final minute in a moment, and so far it's been all Niuzi all day. Oh!
I mean, just a brilliant rage right there. Able to take out everything, get the hog on top of the tower. You know your opponent is probably playing Graveyard. And so, you know, if you defend well enough, you win. So it's just whether or not you can actually do it. This Mega Knight needs to jump, otherwise it's going to get some splash damage. That's going to be 2 shots of splash, and all of a sudden sub is pretty close. And we'll need to figure something out.
And now the opportunity to go opposite lane, pretty much disappearing for sub, as there's just too much ground to make up. Full Graveyard Poison in for sub. Evo Snowball to clear things out. Skeletons on the tower, and the ticks will be just enough to leave him a few HP behind. More spell damage for sub available than his opponent. Needs to get a poison and needs to stop this hog. Evo MK in, Snowball trying to slow. Graveyard touches 1, and oh my word, 8 HP the difference. Poison cannot get out for sub, and Niuzi makes his way into the top 6.
Both players smile a little bit at the end of the game. Sub just kind of unbelievably disappointed with how this weekend ended for him. On the other side, Niuzi, I mean, just a stranglehold on game number 1, a back and forth nail biter for game number 2, and he just swept sub, and he has now moved up to just the top 6 already. What a day he's having so far. What a fun deck to watch and witness. And honestly, both of those decks, game number 1 was a little bit more solid, even though it is kind of funky. We've seen the Royal Hogs plus Giant Skeleton plus Fishman and Zappies before, but the Archers are a little bit fresh. The Bowler is a little bit fresh, and he was able to just win that overall, just with the help of the Giant Skeleton. Once it made it to the tower just one time, it was more than enough for him to just stay strong and hold the line, and that's exactly what he was able to do. And then game 2, I mean, that was a lot of fun. The Hogs were placed super well. Firecrackers were able to get the chip damage without, without messing up too many things. And the rages always felt like they were perfectly timed. That rage on the final defense was at the exact moment the skeleton popped up. It was the exact moment where it was able to have the crown tower help out tremendously and take everything out. I mean, it was just perfect timing with those kind of plays.
And we're going to be moving to our upper bracket here in just a few minutes. Viper and Morton, Asaf and Pedro. And these wins get very important for them, not only for their trip to our golden ticket match in the grand final, but also for our points leaderboard, right? The ability to add a few more here and put yourself truly in the mix.